He's still attacking MAGA as working very hard to capitalize on the murder of Charlie Kirk. We want to we're in mourning. We're not capitalizing on the death of Charlie. We're in mourning. You leftist losers are out there trying to blame us for his death, trying to disparage his legacy, and we're trying to correct you. And we're trying to correct the record. And for once, we're fighting back. That's what you're talking about. You're just not used to it. We get to Wednesday.
What happens when late-night comedy gets hit with real-life truth? Picture this. Megyn Kelly walking right into Jimmy Kimmel's world. Not smiling sweetly, but storming in like someone just changed her Netflix password without asking. Yep. As soon as the news broke about Kimmel leaving, Megyn didn't just sip her tea quietly. She poured the whole hot kettle right on his head. This wasn't fun chit-chat. This was a roast turned up to the max. Stick around, because it's about to get fiery.
We hit some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them and doing everything they can to score political points from it. In between the finger pointing, there was grieving. On Friday, the White House flew the flags at half-staff, which got some criticism. But on a human level, you can see how hard the president is taking.
If you're having fun, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. It helps more than you know. Now let's talk Jimmy Kimmel. He spent years acting like America's late-night clown. He smiles, cracks jokes that sound like a TikTok kid could write them, then looks into the camera with that smug face, as if we should be amazed he read a teleprompter without nodding off.
You know, a lot of people watched our show last night. I got so many texts from so many people. It made me realize how many of my friends are never watching the show at any other time. Tomorrow I'll hear from no one. I did hear from one very special friend. Moments after we taped our show last night, the Mad Red Hatter wrote, "I can't believe ABC Fake News gave Jimmy Kimmel his job back." You can't believe they gave me my job back. I can't believe we gave you your job back.
But nothing, absolutely nothing, could prepare him for Megyn Kelly saying she'd had enough. She came in swinging with words that felt like brass knuckles. This wasn't some small fight about TV ratings. No, Megyn was firing off verbal cannonballs at Kimmel like she was in a pirate movie. Only this time, instead of Johnny Depp's eyeliner, she gave us pure, sharp shots of disdain aimed right at Jimmy's fading career.
ABC are now in meltdown because, according to The Hollywood Reporter, The Wall Street Journal, CNN, the phone lines were ringing off the hook. They were upset. They, too, are feeling the vibe shift that we felt since Trump's election. And they've had it with this nonstop pinko commie leftist programming up and down their airwaves. From The View in the morning straight through to Kimmel in the evening. And don't even get me started on David Muir. Then you had Brendan Carr go on Benny Johnson's podcast and say, enough is enough.
Here's the truth. Jimmy Kimmel's comedy career now looks like a balloon animal at a birthday party. It was fun once, but now it's sad, flat, and sticky from too many people trying to keep alive. Megyn didn't just poke the balloon. She stomped on it, rolled her eyes, and asked why anyone thought it should have been blown up in the first place.
This whole Jimmy Kimmel situation, I definitely don't think that the government should be involved ever in dictating what a comedian can or cannot say in a monologue. People on the right are like, yeah, go get him. Oh my God, you're crazy. You're crazy for supporting this. It makes his show bigger, much more support. This is my suspicion. They suspend it for a short amount of time, and then they bring it back, and then there's a lot of lawyers. Somehow or another it gets worked out that he has a show. He comes back to a standing ovation. Donald Trump tweets mean shit about him, and then the world moves on. This show still sucks.
The best part? Megyn did it with icy calm. That type of confidence that says, I've survived the corporate world and media wars, and now I'm here to remind you that your jokes are about as fun as a soggy waffle. Jimmy tried to laugh it off, tugging on his suit jacket awkwardly, like a shy kid at a school dance where no one wants to dance with him. But this wasn't his usual audience, waiting for easy political jokes told like fortune cookie quotes. Megyn gave him that deadly look. The one that could make a Wall Street guy confess to crimes he never even did. Jimmy shrunk in his chair, regretting every choice that led him from the man show to being the human version of a "Are we still watching?" Netflix prompt. Jimmy being Jimmy, he tried to fight back. Oh yes. He tossed out one of his classic smug digs, the kind he thinks makes him look sharp but really just makes him look like the kid who copies homework and brags later. But Megyn wasn't having it. She shut it down like someone slamming a laptop shut when the boss walks in.
Okay, so it's the right wing who's in denial about this young man's affiliations. By the way, he was not a kid. He was 22 years old. We went through that. Then it was made perfectly clear over the past 2 days that this kid, to use Jimmy's word, has been completely indoctrinated into left-wing ideology. His parents said that. His parents said he had moved farther left politically. He had gotten very into the messaging of the left wing around gay rights and trans ideology. And then we see what was written on the bullet casings. And now the message is shifting from the left to, well, we still might not know his motivation, but really, who cares?
The crowd didn't know whether to laugh at Jimmy's weak comeback or gasp at how easily Megyn destroyed him. Honestly, it wasn't even fair. Watching them together was like a pro fencer battling someone holding a pool noodle. And let's not forget why this clash became such a big deal. Jimmy's career was already on thin ice. Rumors about being fired, replaced, and late-night shows dying off were everywhere. When word spread he might actually get booted, Megyn pounced like a cat spotting a mouse. Except this mouse also owed her money. Because let's be real, Jimmy has acted for years like he's the gatekeeper of political comedy, while telling jokes that wouldn't even survive an open mic at a pizza shop. This showdown was brutal. Jimmy sweated under the lights, tried to spin the moment his way, but Megyn cut through everything, he said, like she was swatting mosquitoes. It got so bad you almost wanted a referee to step in, but one look would have ended it. Knockout in the first round.
Last night, mostly, that there were multiple reasons why Jimmy Kimmel was pulled off the air. But chief among them was, not only was he not planning on apologizing when he was going to go back out on his show Wednesday evening, he was planning on attacking MAGA. Attacking. My words are being purposefully twisted.
Here's the funny part. Jimmy always pretends to be the tough guy, the one who can roast politicians and celebs with ease. But the second Megyn turned the heat on him, his armor crumbled faster than a cheap umbrella in a storm. All the smugness disappeared. What was left? A guy who looked like someone just told him his car warranty really did expire. Megyn, though, didn't even break a sweat. It was like a courtroom drama. One side had a stack of evidence, the other side had a doodle of a stick figure. The imbalance was obvious. Jimmy was cornered, flustered, fumbling, while Megyn delivered every line with perfect timing, knowing she was about to trend online for all the right reasons. And Twitter? Oh, it exploded. Half the people cheered Megyn, saying she finally said what they'd been thinking for years. Jimmy's jokes age worse than sushi left out overnight.
When you look at the Jimmy Kimmel suspension, do you think it's another example of kind of state use of, or is it state censorship?
Well, I think this is a very clear example of that. It is a direct government action to try to intimidate employers, organizations, corporations, much of which we've already seen, to remove an opponent, even though comic. Of course, this was a particularly sensitive time because of the terrible crime that was committed, the murder of Mr. Kirk. But, you know, you defend free speech in terrible time.
The other half tried to defend Jimmy, but even they couldn't hide how badly he lost. It was like fans arguing their football team did pretty good after losing by 50 points. The timing made it even sweeter. Jimmy hears whispers he's getting fired, and before he can even process it, Megyn has already slammed his reputation flat on the floor. If comedy is all about timing, Megyn proved she's the real comic here. She delivered her punchline just as Jimmy's career was gasping for air. Imagine Jimmy walking back into his dressing room after being roasted alive. His poor interns, who normally laugh at his jokes out of pity, now fidgeting nervously, avoiding eye contact, hoping he doesn't ask, "That went okay, right?" How do you tell your boss he just got roasted harder than a Thanksgiving turkey left in the oven all night.
That goes to Colbert announced that he was leaving his show. Howard Stern announced that he and Sirius XM Radio are parting ways. Do you think the hate Trump business model that's been in the entertainment business is going out of business because it's not popular with the American people?
Well, it hasn't worked, and it hasn't worked really for a long time, and I would say pretty much from the beginning. Colbert has no talent. I mean, I could take anybody here, I could go outside in the beautiful streets and pick up a couple of people that do just as well or better. They get higher ratings than he did. He's got no talent. Fallon has no talent. Kimmel has no talent. They're next. They're going to be going. I hear they're going to be going.
Meanwhile, Megyn probably left the building walking cool and confident, like someone who just paid off their mortgage by accident. Calm, flawless, and not even raising her voice, yet completely stripping Jimmy of what little credibility he had left. Even Jimmy's own audience left whispering. So, when does Megyn get her own late-night show? This wasn't just a takedown. It was a reset. Late-night comedy has been limping along for years, and Megyn showed just how weak it's gotten. Even TikTok kids, who don't even know who Megyn Kelly is, were making videos of her moment with Mortal Kombat's Finish Him sound playing. And Jimmy? He tried to spin it later, of course. Went home thinking, I'll laugh about this tomorrow on my show. I'll turn it into a joke.
Such gaslighting. We went through how many days after we saw what was written on the bullets of them saying, no, don't believe what's on the bullet casings. He was a right-winger. He came from the MAGA family, and he was MAGA. But went from days of that. By the way, here's just one example. Jimmy Kimmel, this is him on Monday, refusing to acknowledge that he was a left-winger, notwithstanding but the fact that we already had this information from the Utah governor that he was indoctrinated into the left-wing ideology. We saw what he had written on the bullets. Just one example.
But how do you joke about being demolished so badly that even your laugh track sounds embarrassed? That's like trying to do stand-up after falling flat on your face before the first punchline. No self-deprecating bit could erase the fact Megyn came into a space, turned on the lights, and showed everyone the emperor had no jokes. And the ratings? People didn't tune in to see Jimmy recover. They tuned in hoping Megyn would come back for round two. Suddenly, people who hadn't watched late night in years grabbed popcorn and treated it like UFC. Who needs pay-per-view when Megyn Kelly is verbally body-slamming Jimmy Kimmel live on stage? She didn't just call him out. She called out the entire late-night industry. And poor Jimmy was the clown stuck standing in the spotlight when it happened.
See what he did last night, SOT 10.
I think I go too hard on Donald Trump to the point where there are still a lot of people who think I should pulled off the air for making fun of Donald Trump. So I want to explain. I talk about Trump more than anything because he's a bully. I don't like bullies. I played the clarinet in high school, okay? So
this is so ridiculous. You know, I feel like Emily, you are genuinely funny. You've made me laugh out loud many times on your show, After Party with Emily Jashinsky. Mildly amusing. Eliana, I think you're funny too. You're very clever. However, I would never think that because I'm occasionally funny, I could host a late night show. I would never think I could go out there and do Jimmy Kimmel. I just wouldn't.
And that's when insiders started to panic. If Megyn could crush Kimmel, what chance do the others have? Fallon with his giggles, Colbert with his smirk. Corden already got kicked out. If Megyn ever came for him, he probably would have pretended to faint just to escape. But Jimmy had no escape. No giant laugh could cover it. No producer cutting to commercial. He had to sit there and take it, like a man at the dentist refusing anesthesia. Every second dragged on. Every smirk Megyn gave sliced Jimmy's confidence thinner than deli meat. Some said Megyn was too harsh, that comedy is subjective, that she should have gone easier. But watching her dismantle him was like cleaning out an old closet. You might want to argue about one broken lamp, but deep down you know it belongs in the trash.
He's not funny either. Like, I could totally do this. I've been too hard on myself. All three of us could go out there and host a non-funny show where we just say political thoughts. We actually do that for a living already. How is this comedy? How are people giving him the excuse that he's a comedian? He's not even trying to be funny. That's just some weird, long, rambling, like, Twitter post about the nipples and the trapper keeper. It's not even arguably clever. The point is he's back to himself Emily. He's learned nothing.
In the end, Jimmy didn't look like a comedian anymore. He looked like a warning sign. A reminder that you can't just coast forever on recycled jokes and smug charm. Megyn wasn't there to play. She was there to expose. Her attack didn't feel random. It felt like the start of Jimmy's career funeral. One moment he was king of late night. The next he was a meme. And Megyn Kelly? She was the one running the show at his comedic burial.